It does not get any better than the palestra for a Big Five matchup between Penn and Villanova. And they are packed in tonight to watch this Big Five rivalry game. Hi again, everyone. Bob Wischusen alongside Fran Fraschilla. Thanks for joining us. It's hot in here. It's crowded. There's no amenities. It's uncomfortable. And we love it. It's such a great place. If you're a college basketball fan, it's like Wrigley Field for a baseball fan or Fenway Park. You got to check it if you're looking for that bucket list destination. 25 consecutive wins in Big Five play for Villanova. You think that streak might be in jeopardy tonight, though?
Absolutely. Penn's coming off an annihilation of both Miami and then LaSalle. And keep this in mind, extremely well coached on offense. They average 80 points a game, but they shoot 50 from the field, 40 from three. They are very dangerous tonight in this building. But remember, Villanova's got some experience. Let's start with Phil Booth, who's been around for 5 years now and has played in so many big games, 2 national championships. He's the go-to guy for Villanova. And for the Quakers, A.J. Broder, who helped lead the Quakers to an NCAA tournament a year ago. They were the Ivy League tournament champions, and this guy was the MVP.
Both teams come in off to an 8-2 start. An interesting note for Penn, they started the season 4-0, and the last time they got off to a 4-0 start, they were the unknown team in arguably the most famous Final Four of all time back in 1978-79.
Exactly. That was the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird Final Four with DePaul and Penn as the undercard, if you will. They do a great job, Penn, of moving the ball, spreading you out, and you pick your poison with them.
Evan Goodman straight away, just off the front of the rim. Eric Paschal with the rebound, and here comes Nova. Amir Cosby Roundtree turns it over. Good hands. The extra pass to the wing, and that rims out for Max Rothschild. But a take right back by Goodman, and a reset for the Quakers.
Yep, second turnover by Cosby Roundtree. Just sloppy play like right there.
And Penn gives it right back as A.J. Broder fumbles it on the baseline.
Bob, one of the things I watched the last couple of days, and you saw it this afternoon at the Penn practice, these teams know each other so well. I haven't seen 2 teams this year scout each other any better. So this is almost like an inter-squad scrimmage because they're so familiar with each other's systems.
Well, you've got 2 coaches that are as thorough with their scouting reports and their involvement as the head coach with both teams, right? N.J. Wright and Donahue. A little long on the jumper for Booth. There's the first triple of the game.
And speaking of scouting reports, the freshman Bryce Washington, one thing that Jay Wright told his team is chase him off the line. And that was too easy. That was catch and shoot. And you know what? Jermaine Samuels is going to get up off the bench and come in early.
Bryce Washington off to a great start shooting the 3. The true freshman at 48% on the season. Stepping on the sideline was Paschal. He turns it over. Penn, as we said, off to the 8-2 start. They got a big win against Miami a couple of games ago. Hard to believe that not only is that their first ACC victory since 2001, but back to 2003, the last time they beat a Power 5 opponent.
Well, there was a drought here at Penn over about a decade, but Steve Donahue has this program back to where they're competing for Ivy League championships, and certainly Big Five titles wouldn't be a bad start as well.
Shot clock down to 5. Losing his footing was Washington. Antonio Woods couldn't keep it alive, and an easy throwdown. Jermaine Samuels rocks the rim, and that gets Nova on the board.
Jermaine Samuels played very little last year on that championship team, and not so much earlier this year, but he's become a key factor. He's almost become a 6'5" power forward center type. It allows Villanova to play small. Villanova's going to do everything they can to keep the ball out of Broder's hands.
Goodman bullets one to the corner, and another triple goes down for Bryce Washington.
That's bread and butter right there. When that ball goes inside, they exchange on the backside with a little flare screen. And if Washington's going to get that shot, it's going to be a long night for Villanova. This is a freshman they did not expect to play much early in this year, and he has.
Booth takes the shot clock under 8. Booth scoots one along the baseline. Rotation out to a freshman, Saddiq Bey. And he's a little strong with the jumper. A chance now for Penn to extend their lead.
As much as Penn moves the ball side to side, the key to this team is Broder, because he leads them in assists.
He's been quiet so far. Samuels picks up the foul as he was all over Max Rothschild. How about the 8-2 start that Villanova is off to? Losses to Michigan. That was a lopsided loss, but that's certainly not surprising. Any team that loses to Michigan this year, it's tough competition. Yeah. It was the loss to Furman that probably raised some eyebrows.
Absolutely. And I was at the Michigan game, and it was a mismatch from the start. By the way, this Penn team plays an awful lot like Furman, where they use their big guys to facilitate offense, both Rothschild and Broder.
Broder in the post. Needs some help. Goodman plays it in.
This is exactly the start Steve Donahue wanted.
The grad transfer Joe Cremo from Albany turns it over, and it's a 6-point lead early for the Quakers.
And they have gotten Villanova on their heels. Sloppy play because it's been excellent defense. Take a look. There's the drive. Bryce Washington, the freshman. Catch and shoot. Oh, they're ready in here. The Palestra.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Eddie Bauer. Live your adventure.
Abashuz and Fran Fraschilla. Good start for Penn. Off to the 6-point lead here at the Palestra. Whenever you come to a building like this, Fran starts to get nostalgic, and the Big Five gives you plenty of opportunities to be nostalgic.
I'm going to pick 5 guys tonight from a semifinal list of about 20 to be on my all Big Five team. John Pannone, you see the numbers, early 80s. He led Villanova in scoring all 4 seasons here, and 3-time Big Five MVP. And there'll be some really good players I have to leave off that list, but I'm going to start with John Pannone from Villanova.
As an early question, because the list is a mystery to me as well, Big Five, your 5 guys, did you go with one guy from each school? Oh, there's a school that got left out.
There is.
Oh, fan base is not going to be pleased with that. I'm curious to know which one is going to be all over you on Twitter. I'll enjoy that. Head fake, drive, a little too strong for Antonio Woods, but a foul call. And if that's on Broder, that will be his first.
What makes Penn so hard to guard is they can play through their big guys. They also have quick, speedy guards. And when you think of Penn and Steve Donahue and his great teams at Cornell, you think of ball movement, side-to-side action. But, Bob, they average 80 points a game. They play an up-tempo style. Villanova, on the other hand, one of the slowest teams in the country this year. Watch them crowd Pascal. Good defense.
Pascal came up short. Offensive rebound for Samuels. The kick out, and that 3 goes over the backboard for Phil Booth.
Eric Pascal is not driving from the top of the key tonight because they're going to crowd the lane.
What makes Steve Donahue so built for this league?
He has a system that forces you to think. Look at that move right there.
Acceleration by Devin Goodman.
He's one of the best offensive coaches in the country because he has a way of involving all 5 players in his offense. And you're going to get guys here that can play basketball, but also play with a high IQ, needless to say.
Samuels. And the shot clock down to 7.
This is great defense.
Booth rises up. A little short. And it's run down in the corner by Wong.
Villanova has gotten very few easy shots in the first 5 minutes.
Leaning in and banking it in is Jake Silpe. What a start for Penn.
The defense is smothering right now, Bob.
Samuels fouled by Wong.
Jay Wright had to go back to the drawing board after losing 4 players to the NBA. He expected to lose 2 of them, but he didn't expect to have 4 players taken in the first 33 picks of the NBA draft. And this is a different Villanova team, losing 70% of their scoring. Offense does not come easy to this team.
Talking to Jay before the game about the Bridges, DiVincenzo, Brunson, Spellman group that all ends up in the NBA. And he said he talks to all of them regularly. All of them are constantly not only exchanging text messages and phone calls, but every time they play against each other, they'll take pictures on the court, they'll exchange jerseys. The 4 moms of the 4 players are all close with some of the moms of the current players. They all live in the area. They still come to the games. Villanova is such a basketball family, and Jay Wright has created that atmosphere, and it permeates all the way through all the NBA players as well.
He didn't think he'd lose 2 members of the family. That's the problem with this team right now.
He found a new player, though, in Joe Cremo, the Albany grad transfer, but he couldn't hit.
Watch how well the ball moves. 4 players have touched it so far.
Great post position. Off the backboard, just a little too strong for A.J. Broder. But he'll go to the line tomorrow on ESPN, the ESPN app. It's an NBA Wednesday doubleheader presented by State Farm at 8 Eastern. Russell Westbrook and the Thunder take on Anthony Davis and the Pelicans. And what a start Kawhi and the Raptors are off to. Taking on Steph and the Warriors. That is some kind of nightcap. Coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 7 tomorrow night. Jermaine Samuels just picked up his 2nd foul.
The one thing the Quakers don't do well offensively is shoot free throws at 63% this season.
Last season they were last in the Ivy League at 66%, and Steve Donahue said that really is the thing we have to improve upon. Said last year there were absolutely games we flat out lost at the free throw line.
Well, the dilemma for Villanova right now is it's almost like Penn knows the offense as well as Villanova does. And they're not getting anything easy because Penn seems to, they pretty much they're locked in on what Villanova's trying to do.
Sadiq Bey and Booth both on the bench as another freshman, Cole Swider, makes his first appearance for the Wildcats. Pascal gets to the baseline. Gillespie draws contact. Shot fake got Goodman to commit.
That might be 2. It is.
And that's the 2nd, as you said, on Goodman.
Shot fake by Gillespie. Shoots at a high rate behind the arc, and that draws a foul, and that means Goodman's going to have to sit for a little bit.
Bryce Washington back in.
Villanova trailed early to LaSalle here a couple of weeks ago, Bob. Similar situation. Got off to a very slow start. The problem is this is a much better team than LaSalle.
A little lazy on the pass between Booth and Gillespie creates the turnover. And then the foul. That's the first on Phil Booth. Silpe gets caught in the post, and Broder bails him out. Broder will attack. Rolls another one off the rim, but he will go back to the free throw line. And that's the freshman Cole Swider that picks up the foul.
When you think of Villanova, you think of efficient offense. Very rarely do they turn the ball over more than 10, 12 times a game, and they are off to a really tough start tonight, and that is all Penn Quaker defense.
Villanova is 1 of 7 from the field, and they've already turned it over 5 times. When you lose 70% of your scoring, 73% of your three-point shooting, even if you have players like Pascal and Booth and Cosby Roundtree that have been part of what you have done, what's the adjustment period for this team with all those guys going to the NBA?
Well, the problem for Villanova is they're so detailed, Bob, that it's really hard to pick up the system in one season.
Gillespie draws the foul.
And because of that, the young players haven't helped them very much. If you think of guys through the years like Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo, Mikal Bridges averaged 5 or 6 points a game as a freshman. You come to Villanova, very rarely do they get one-and-done guys. Playing at Villanova as a freshman is almost like your first year of law school. Once you get through the indoctrination of getting through the first year, and you know the Villanova system, it becomes much easier for you. The problem with this team is they're trying to play some young guys who don't yet understand how to play in this system. And that means there's a lot of burden on the veterans, and the veterans are trying to do too much right now. They're playing very robotic.
Wong finds a cutter. Bryce Washington off the backboard to Pascal. Pascal will drive it and finish.
Broder can't guard him out there. And because it was in transition, Penn was not able to collapse their defense in time on Pascal.
Silpe away from the screen. Lost the ball. Turns it over. Pascal explosive, to say the least, and that might be a spark that Villanova needs.
Hasn't had much room early, but in transition, if you give him some daylight, he's attacking the rim. And watch out, rim, because he's coming at you.
Beware of the fog.
Hold up, let me get up in it now. I'm here to win it now. LOGIC, I'm feeling free, I'm finna bring it now. I get up.
Number 17 Villanova versus number 1 Kansas. Saturday at noon on ESPN.
Final Four rematch at the Fog Saturday at noon. That'll be a fun one to watch, but Jay Wright's going to want his team to clean things up if they're going to have a chance to beat Kansas on the road.
No question. Pennsylvania, not usually a team that forces turnovers because they love to pack it in on you. Tonight, they have been tremendous at understanding where Villanova wants to throw the ball, knocking balls loose, forcing some turnovers, and great start for this guy who's had one of the great gentlemen in coaching. He spent 10 years with Fran Dunphy here at Penn, did a tremendous job at Cornell, taking the Big Red to the Sweet 16. He went to Boston College, your alma mater. Didn't have the success that he wanted,
to say the least.
Spent a year doing television, and then when this job opened up, he was the perfect choice. And of course, last year culminating with an Ivy League tournament title.
Gillespie knocks one down.
Trying to set a little pressure up, but they're not able to do it.
A 7-0 Villanova run. Broder backs down Sadiq Bey. Gillespie came in to help and knocked it away. That creates the turnover, and Booth heads the other direction. Swider lost it, found it again, gets blocked, and draws the foul.
That was great defense in the low post that time by Sadiq Bey. Villanova doesn't want to double Broder, but once the ball goes on the floor, they dug it out and knocked it loose. Kansas last year, Bob, ironically enough, doubled Broder. They had so much respect for him that they made him throw the ball back out. Villanova's not going to do that. They're going to fake at him, make sure they don't leave shooters.
Well, so much is now on the shoulders of A.J. Broder for this team. First team All-Ivy last year, the tournament MVP. But something we haven't talked about yet, I'm sure our guys will get a shot of him over on the bench, was the injury to Ryan Bentley a torn patellar tendon. 5 minutes into the season, he knocks down a three, and just like that, 5 minutes later, your leading returning scorer from last season is lost for the year, and that is a blow that Steve Donahue was never thinking he was going to have to absorb.
Yeah, in a strange way, there's another turnover.
Sadiq Bey glides in and is able to finish.
Well, in a strange way, because of that injury, Bryce Washington has gotten a chance to really step up and play as well as those veteran guards. But you're right, that's a big loss.
Gillespie jumps in and commits his first foul, but Bentley was supposed to be that outside combination player with Broder, and to lose him for the season, that is a tough injury to absorb.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a great talk with him yesterday. It's about a 6-month rehab, so he'll be back in the spring and be back at the Palestra next year playing.
And we'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Penn has turned it over. Penn has turned it over 3 straight times, and that has allowed Villanova to make this a 2-point game. And Saturday, noon Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app, we've got a game that is not only a Final Four rematch, but it's a sonic blockbuster as well. Number 17 Villanova, number 1 Kansas, as KU has flopped around in between, say, ranked 2nd, 3rd. Now they're the number 1 team in America, with Tennessee taking down Gonzaga.
Yes, and KU is likely without Doka Azubuike. I understand he'll be back around January 1st. Of course, Villanova hammered Kansas in the semifinal game in San Antonio a year ago.
Antonio Woods lost it.
I was having dinner with my wife down on the Riverwalk after that game between Villanova and Kansas, and I got a call from an assistant coach at Villanova at about 5 after 12 midnight, and I said, "How you doing?" He said, "I'm doing good, Dad." And, I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "We're putting together a graduate transfer list." I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Dad, these guys are gone." And as it turned out,
he was right.
He was right. And that's how Joe Cremo came into the picture. But you can bet the Kansas fans will be ready for Villanova on Saturday.
Pascal.
Tough shot.
He'll be looking to do just that on Saturday at the Fog. And as you saw a moment ago, he did a lot of that last year in the Final Four matchup between Kansas and Villanova.
Good defense by Broder, too. He had his hand up right in his face. And all of a sudden now, Villanova has ratcheted up the defense.
It looks like Gillespie will be called for holding Woods, but Pascal, dangerous as we saw going to the basket, now dangerous from 3.
Good defense by Broder. If Pascal makes that shot and Broder guards him out there, he's going to have a really hard time containing the dribble. Pascal, a transfer from Fordham, where he was the Atlantic 10 Rookie of the Year, and he's had 3 terrific seasons for Jay Wright, now a senior.
Silpy needs some help.
Yeah.
Woods down the lane, blocked, but fouled on the floor before he put the shot up.
And Woods is the kind of guy that he has the athleticism to play at a high level. Young man out of Cincinnati. Both he and Goodman have that high major speed, and he's given Villanova trouble early in this game.
That was Cremo's first, and both teams are now over the limit.
Well, you mentioned Cremo earlier, when good tip out. Really good play by Broder.
From way outside, NBA range, Wong a little too strong. Offensive rebound, Broder. Broder throws it to nowhere. Silpy couldn't save it. Stepped it on the sideline.
You notice, Bob, they're not double teaming Broder until he puts it on the floor. And it's not a double team. It's what we call a dig. And they're digging out. They're trying to dig the ball out of Broder's hands. And that time he tried to get rid of it and threw it away.
Is that the Achilles heel in Broder's game when he puts it on the floor?
I think so. I think so. He's a really good player when he's got space to go up and under and use all that craftiness.
Cosby Roundtree right at Broder. Yes.
Well, that young man has improved leaps and bounds. Young man from Southwest Philly who's a great story. Late bloomer.
Great backdoor cut by Devin Goodman, and the find from Broder.
And that's what Broder does. He's their point guard, really, from the top of the key when you give him space. Remember, Broder's got one foul.
Cosby Roundtree's got one now, too.
Yeah.
Broder had position, took the charge, and we've got a 1-point game. Big 5 matchup at the Palestra. Furman now ranked, and Villanova found out how good that team was.
Yes, they were. Yep. And it was a big game for Villanova coming off that thrashing by Michigan. And this is a Villanova team with a work in progress. But I did a game here back in, I don't know, 2004 maybe. I love coming in this building. Villanova, Jay was starting to get the program going, young guards. St. Joe's and Jameer Nelson, Delonte West, they had Villanova down 40-9 in here at the half. And there are people in the state that still have license plates that say 40-9.
Silpy with the putback off the Goodman miss. As Penn is able to retake the lead. The Quakers have led by as many as 12. Villanova, though, went on a 15-0 run to take the lead back, and now 4 straight by Penn.
Well, they've gotten Pascal going, and that's been important.
Primo through traffic. Swider. And it's run down in the corner by Goodman.
Goodman's back with 2 fouls. Steve Donahue is not afraid to play his guys with 2. He does it often in the first half. Good cut.
Backdoor cut. Broder hit the back of the rim on the dunk attempt. Fouled by Pascal. Great look from Devin Goodman.
Remember, Villanova made that run with Goodman on the bench, which is why Steve Donahue brought him back. Little slip off the ball screen, pass it ahead, and they keep the ball singing, Penn.
Broder has been so consistent, other than at the free throw line. Only 55% to start off the season, but last year averaged 13 points, 7 rebounds per game. He has averaged at least 13 points all 3 years that he's been at Penn, and right at 13 points a game so far this year.
He took offense on Twitter to me calling him the old man at the Y, and we had a great discussion about it yesterday, but I'm just trying to say that he's crafty. Short.
Air ball from Phil Booth.
Yep.
Pascal knocks it to Broder, who tips it ahead. Here's Wong for 3.
He can do it.
Yes.
Yep. This kid can play. We haven't talked about him. Great. Watch the hustle by Broder. He not only tips it ahead, it's accurate. And then Michael Wong is a freshman. You ready for this? Last 42 minutes, he's got 42 points coming into tonight. Young man out of modern-day high school. He grew up in Shaanxi province in China and was on a really good team playing for Gary McKnight out there. They've had so many great players. And Bob, this kid's about 6'9", 6'10", can really shoot it and score. And Jay Wright called that timeout quickly because he said, we can't leave guys like Silpy and Wong open.
Now, Michael Wong, as you said, grew up in China, had an aunt that lived in the LA area, and decided with his basketball skill, he wanted to come to the U.S. and not only go to high school in the U.S., but have an opportunity to play college basketball in the U.S., although they were pretty particular As Steve Donahue said, his mom said, you can play college basketball in the United States as long as it's at Harvard or the Wharton School.
Yeah, and ironically,
Steve Donahue said, we got one of those,
yeah.
so we're in good shape as Sadiq Bey goes back door.
Well, his best friend, Spencer Friedman, who was the MVP in Southern California, his teammate, is a point guard at Harvard right now. So they're going to see each other the next 4 years. Michael lived with the Friedman, so it all comes back to family. Good slip. They got him again.
Silpy with the shot fake sets up Woods. Yes. Antonio Woods extends the Penn lead.
How good was that ball movement? And what a shot fake by Silpy. The scouting report was chase him off the line, and they did, but they left Woods open.
Phil Booth dribbled it off Silpy's foot and recovers. Now they'll say double dribble. That'll have to be corrected.
Well, the ball went, yeah. So it's an inadvertent whistle. Now here's the problem. If it's an inadvertent whistle, and that possession arrow goes to Villanova, so they'll keep the ball if they determine that Villanova didn't have possession because the ball was loose.
That was great ball movement by Penn to set up that Woods three. And now the shot clock down to 10 for Pascal.
And they didn't change the possession arrow.
Pascal attacks the rim again, pushes off, offensive foul. That's his second. And that's the 10th team foul against Villanova here in the first half.
That's good defense. It was a great sell job, but it was good defense because he was legally guarding him. You see Rothschild. Yeah, he extended a little bit with the left arm.
Jay Wright furious. Clarence Armstrong not only got an earful from Jay Wright, but also had to hear a little bit from Pascal, as he was furious as well. And right now, Clarence Armstrong already told Eric Pascal to zip it. It just told Jay Wright to quiet down as well, as it will stay with Penn with 18 to shoot.
Jay Wright, on the other hand, more conservative about playing his guys in the first half with two. And right now, he's got Gillespie and Pascal on the bench. Let's see if they remain the last 5 minutes. That would put a lot of pressure on Phil Booth offensively.
Antonio Woods.
Well, that's great
recovers.
defense.
Shot clock down to 5. Woods will drive it. A little too strong. The tip follow is there for one.
Really good defense by Cosby Roundtree, trying to keep Woods in front of him, but nobody blocked out Wong on the tip in. 25-game streak Bob Villanova has in the Big Five.
Samuels, nice shot fake. Pass to the corner to Bey. Sadiq Bey hits a three.
That's great basketball right there by Samuels, who can make a three, but Bey the better shooter. That was Villanova basketball at its best.
Wong got caught in midair. A foul on the screen. And if that goes against Samuels, that will be his third. And it'll be 2 free throws for Penn.
It's a good call. They ran the misdirection play to try to get him a three. Samuels bowled him over.
You want to tell Jay Wright that was a good call?
When we come back.
Yeah, I don't.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Tyson. Keep it real. Keep it Tyson.
I wouldn't mention Princeton offense to Steve Donahue, that's for sure, because in talking to Steve, he goes, hey, it's a little bit of all of our offenses, but this guy is my number 2 Big Five all-time great. Jameer Nelson, an amazing career, long NBA career, and that's a given to me. What he did for Phil Martelli and St. Joe's in the early 90s, Elite Eight, just a monster player, right out of the outskirts of Philadelphia and Chester, PA. But in talking to Steve Donahue yesterday, I said, tell me about your offense. And he said, gosh, we add something every year from everybody. And remember, he spent 10 years with Fran Dunphy. He's coached against Princeton many times. Spent time at Boston College. Tremendous offensive mind.
That's Fran Fraschilla. I'm Bob Wischusen. 6-point lead for Penn. Under 4 minutes to go in the first half. Cremo, jump stop in the lane, and an old school hook goes down for the Albany grad transfer.
He had to learn the jump stop when he came to Villanova, because that's a staple, and that was a terrific use of the jump stop right there and pivot.
A facial fracture back in October forced Cremo to miss 3 weeks, and he still is forced to wear the mask at this point in the season as the foul is on Swider.
Watch Cremo jump stop in the lane, be under control, turn, pivot, and hit a nice little jump hook. Well done. As you mentioned, Bob, it's not easy to come from another school and average 18 points a game and fit in at Villanova, but he has.
First time that Villanova's ever taken a grad transfer, but they were in the market for at least another player who shaves. Once Dante DiVincenzo went to the NBA, they basically had Pascal and Booth as fifth-year seniors, and no one else, as you said, ingratiated into their system. They just wanted a veteran player to give a little bit more seasoning to the lineup, and it was a great marriage with Cremo, who's got the ball now.
And he started to play much better. He's getting more comfortable.
Uses his size and the left hand.
That's well done. He took Silpy into the post. And they've gotten some offense out of him with Gillespie and Pascal saddled with foul trouble.
Offensive foul called on Broder. That's his second.
Cosby Roundtree has really worked hard to keep Broder from getting the basketball tonight, because he's such a big part of that Penn offense. And that time they got Broder for the push-off.
Cremo throws one to Cosby Roundtree. Double teamed. Extra pass to Cremo. He's got another.
How about that jump stop? I was at practice this summer, and they were working with him on the jump stop, because after 4 years or 3 years at Albany, and Will Brown does a great job up there, but the jump stop at Villanova and their offense on drives is a big part of what they do.
Cremo scored almost 1,500 points in 3 years at Albany, and he was a first-team All-America East player last season, averaged almost 18 a game, so he can score.
He can score, and he can shoot the three.
Very brief rest for Broder as he is replaced by Max Rothschild.
And Goodman's back with 2 as well. Again, Steve Donahue this year does not, look at that pass, does not mind playing guys when they have 2 in the first half. He airmailed that one.
So the turnover gives it back to Villanova. 8 first-half turnovers for Penn.
Now, Silpy just threw the ball away. He's also been scored on 3 straight times in the post. So let's see if Jay Wright continues to milk Cremo inside. Milk Cremo, get it?
That's as good as it gets. Is there a rim shot sound effect?
Little half and half, maybe?
Yeah, all right.
Little half and half for the,
okay.
for the hot coffee?
Let's just let that ship sail. You milked that joke for all it was worth. Cremo for 3.
Not too much.
Airball. Swider gets the air ball on the weak side. Gets it blocked from behind by Wong.
Here he comes.
Antonio Woods with the left hand.
We talked about his speed, and he's got it. And you got to get him caught early. Got to set your defense up early in transition. I think it's a win for Villanova if they're within 4 points at halftime, Bob.
Primo lost it on the baseline, but it was knocked out by Devin Goodman.
Villanova was so bad early and playing without Gillespie and Pascal right now. If they're within 4, I think that's a win.
They were down by as many as 12.
Oh, they had the back cut for Booth.
Instead, it's Sadiq Bey. Off to Swider. Cosby Roundtree with the offensive rebound, and he draws the foul. That's Max Rothschild's second, and that will put Cosby Roundtree at the line. Tonight, 11 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Stick around for SportsCenter. Kevin Connors and Michael Eaves will break down Chargers-Chiefs. Plus a Week 14 that was wild in the NFL and certainly impacts the playoff picture in a big way. And an interview with Buster Douglas and Jeremy Schaap as the 30 for 30 will debut tonight over on ESPN. 42-1. Those were the odds back in 1990 in Tokyo when Buster Douglas pulled off about as amazing an upset as we've ever had in American sports. I was trying to think in our lifetime of what would compare. Villanova, Georgetown, the Miracle on Ice. I mean, what else was less likely than Buster Douglas knocking out Mike Tyson?
Do you remember where you were that night?
Yes, I was in my freshman dorm at Boston College. We had no cable TV, much less there being no cell phones or internet or any way of getting immediate news. Someone heard it on the radio and no one believed the guy on our floor that said it. And we all went running to like the local television sportscasts to see if it was true. And it turns out, yes, it was true. Mike Tyson had been beaten a 42-1 long shot. Buster Douglas. Speaking of one, that's what's on the shot clock here for Silpy. Tough spot to throw it in the corner.
Watch 23 Wong. Let's see if he comes to the ball.
It'll have to be a tap for Wong, and that's a shot clock violation.
I was at Providence College as an assistant to Rick Barnes. We had just gotten beat at Pittsburgh at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse. We went back to the Airport Marriott about 11 or 11:30 at night when we got the word that Buster Douglas had knocked out Mike Tyson. And for anybody under 40, right, they don't realize that Mike Tyson wasn't just in that movie about Las Vegas. What was it?
The Hangover?
The Hangover,
He was a force of nature.
Yep.
I mean, if you had a challenger to Mike Tyson get out of the third round, it was looked upon as almost a surprise.
Good opportunity for Villanova now to cut into this lead.
About a 10-second differential between shot clock and game clock.
Watch the help. Watch the help coming.
Sadiq Bey fades away. That's a little too strong. And it's knocked out of bounds by Swider. So plenty of time. Just under 14 on the clock as Wong and Broder will both come back in for Penn as they will hold for one.
Little offense defense by Steve Donahue. Broder comes back. Goodman comes back. Both with 2 fouls. And right now they got to get a guy off the court. And they do.
Woods goes to work with 5 to shoot. Lost his footing. He'll drive it. Float one up. Off the rim. No good. Villanova down by 4. What you said would be a win for the Wildcats if they could get there.
Yep, we'll find out. Penn did a terrific job of jumping on Villanova early in this game. And remember what's at stake. Villanova has won 25 straight in the Big Five. And they have not been beaten by Penn since 2002.
4-point lead for Penn at the half. With Seth Greenberg back in the studio. The halftime report with Phil Murphy. We are back at the Palestra. Just about set for the start of the second half. A Big Five matchup between Penn and Villanova. What's on the line for Villanova? How about a 25-game win streak in Big Five competition? A 15-game win streak against Penn themselves. The last time Penn beat Villanova back in 2002, the Wells Fargo Center. They haven't beaten Villanova here since 2001. Bob Shoes and Fran Fraschilla just about set for the next 20 minutes. I give you credit, as I always do. You thought this was going to be a very tall order for the Wildcats.
Every season tells its own story, and the difference between these two teams in terms of physical ability is not much, and Penn playing at home got off to a terrific start. In fact, Bob, they built a 12-point lead, partly on their defense and partly on very good offensive execution, something that they are known for, shooting almost 50% from the field. But give Villanova credit because they started to get back into this game with their defense, forcing turnovers of their own. And of course, this is the guy you got to get going, Eric Paschal. 5 points tonight, Bay with a steal and a layup. All of a sudden now Villanova in striking distance when it looked like they might be blown out early.
Phil Booth, the leading scorer for Villanova, and he has yet to score. 0 for 4 in the first half. Both teams went on prolonged runs in the first half as well. And Villanova leading points off turnovers, but trailing by 4 on the scoreboard as we start the second half. Can Booth get on track? There's a good start to the second half for the Wildcats' leading scorer.
Don't think that wasn't run by design by Jay Wright to get Phil Booth going. And remember, Goodman's got 2.
And Samuels starts the second half playing with 3. Leaning in, and a foul is called on the drive by Bryce Washington. And that's going to be the 4th on Samuels.
Well, Booth, they set up a little drive. Look at the room he's got in the lane, and he's able to pull up and knock that shot down. Now, from our angle, I thought Samuels was established unless he had his feet inside the arc, but that's 4 nevertheless. Samuels.
Joe Cremo's coming right back in.
Yeah, Samuels' last 2 games, 13 points, 7.5 rebounds, and he gives them toughness. On the drive now, Samuels has 2 feet down. Well, he slid to the left. That's a good call. Yep.
Not a question of the restricted area, a question of he just wasn't set.
Exactly.
So the sophomore Jermaine Samuels, who broke a bone in his left hand last December and was out until February, now on the bench with 4 fouls, replaced by the grad transfer Joe Cremo. Stepping on the end line was Phil Booth. He turns it over. Looked like it was going to be a clean steal nonetheless for Antonio Woods. Wong back in for Rothschild. And Samuels is going to have to sit there for a while.
Yes, he will. Villanova's going to go a little 3-quarter court pressure right now and see if they can speed the tempo up. The problem is Villanova's got really solid athletic guards. Excuse me, Penn does. So if you open the court for these guys, they'll take advantage of it. Right there.
Woods with the crossover. Sets up Broder. Yes! The triple from A.J. Broder extends the Penn lead.
That's his first field goal of the night after 6 made free throws. I think Villanova's got to open up the court, Bob, and start to attack off the dribble.
Bay can't answer.
And if I'm Jay Wright, I get Paschal involved on almost every possession.
Broder a little too strong. Nice save by Paschal.
You won't see that often. A.J. Broder missing a point-blank shot.
Gillespie with a nice shot.
Double dribble.
Foul called instead on the landing by Devin Goodman. That's his 3rd.
I thought Gillespie got away with a double dribble. He dribbled the ball, picked it up, put it back down on the floor.
Bryce Washington sits down. Silpy back in.
Take a look right here. He catches it. Well, they say it was a fumble, not a dribble.
Phil Booth gets caught. Sadiq Bey is fouled.
This young man, Sadiq Bey, is off to a very good start in his career. A borderline top 100 player. He originally committed to NC State. Played at the same high school as Josh Hart, Sidwell friends. And when you talk about Villanova basketball, this guy right here is a poster child.
Why?
Because he's going to get better every single year. He's averaging 7.5 right now, Bob. By the time he's a junior and senior, he'll be one of the better players in the Big East. You think of Josh Hart, you think of Mikal Bridges, you think of Ryan Arcidiacono. They had a steady progression upwards.
What did all of those guys average as freshmen? Or better yet, what were those guys as freshmen overall as players and what they became? Because they're all in the NBA now.
I know it. Josh Hart averaged 7.5 points a game. Bridges was like 5.
Silpy can't hit from the corner. That's just the culture of Villanova basketball.
And you have to know that coming in. And it's not easy for a freshman to accept that when you've been a highly recruited guy.
But you're the better for it if you accept it and you see what so many of your predecessors have become.
Right. Except when you watch your buddies who you were on AAU teams with that are playing on losing teams.
Long, short. They're scoring their 17, but not winning.
They're not winning championships anyway.
Sadiq Bey hangs from the rim.
Oh, good cut.
Woods with the left hand.
Good
takes
cut.
the ball.
Yep.
What's the foul? Off the feed from Broder.
That time Woods used Broder as a screen. And as long as Broder doesn't turn into the defender trying to get through, that's legal. But this is Penn basketball right here. Take a look. Booth got hung up.
You want to talk about a story of perseverance? It's at the free throw line right now. Antonio Woods, as a freshman point guard, was the starter at Penn. As a junior, a couple of years later, was dismissed from school because of academics. Worked 2 jobs, one at a local morgue in the hospital, and got his academics straightened back out, got his way back into school at Penn, and now he's a starter once again for the basketball team as Primo lines up at 3.
He's an athlete too, Woods. Look at that.
Silpy blocked by Primo, but that foul will be Primo's 3rd, and that will put Silpy at the line.
There's a good example of what we said earlier about Penn. Yes, they carve you up in the half court, but because they average 80 points a game, they are comfortable in transition because they have athletic guards running the show.
So now Jay Wright is going to have to put both point guards on the floor as he's got Phil Booth set to check back in. Jermaine Samuels picked up his 4th. He was replaced by Primo. Well, now Primo's in foul trouble as well. He just picked up his 3rd. As Sadiq Bey will sit down, they're going to leave Primo on the floor with 3. And now a foul on the follow by Wong. That's his 2nd. It was a Fran Fraschilla-esque conversation between Clarence Armstrong and Michael Wong, right? I mean, they seemed to be.
You're saying it was highly intelligent?
Yes, it was highly intelligent, and you know what? Balanced in terms of emotions. No temper flare. Pascal fades away, short, fouled. And claiming innocence was A.J. Broder, but he's called for his 3rd. It's just early enough in the second half where you wonder how a coach will handle a player with 3 fouls in a close game, and how much trust you have in that guy to not pick up his 4th.
Trust is the key word. because you have to trust him to hit for him to know that he's got 3, and he has to adjust. I don't think you necessarily foul a guy out with 3 fouls if you're the coach. And right now with 16.5, look at this.
Pascal can't hit.
Wow.
Missed a couple.
Yep. Basketball gods not kind right now to Villanova, especially at the foul line.
Both teams have struggled at the line.
So that's a turn. That's an empty possession for Villanova. Pretty much a turnover as a push in the back.
That's Cremo's 4th. So Samuels and Cremo both have 4. And now Swider is back in the game.
One thing Villanova has not done to start the second half is they've not disrupted any of Penn's offensive rhythm. That's a hook.
And Goodman is called for that hook emphatically by Earl Walton.
Offensive foul starts against the Quakers number 12, Devin Goodman, his 4th personal foul. Team's 5th. The Quakers number 20, Bryce Moss.
So Villanova's got Cremo and Samuels both with 4. And now Devin Goodman's got 4 as well. The big men not in significant foul trouble. It's all the swing guys and guards that have picked up the fouls.
And remember, Goodman was a plus 13 in the first half when he was on the floor.
Pascal too strong.
It'll be interesting to see how much they miss Devin Goodman. This kid can shoot it.
And drive it. Long off the rim. The tip follow won't go for Antonio Woods. But he will shoot 2 when we come back as Pascal picks up the personal. That's his 3rd. Foul trouble could be a big story down the stretch. Shoes and Fran Fraschilla back at the Palestra. Penn has a 12 rebound advantage against Villanova, and they've got an 8-point lead now. Villanova 1 behind Temple in terms of Big 5 titles. Those 2 at the top of the leaderboard, and Fran Fraschilla has been bringing us through his all Big 5 all-time team player by player. Next stop, Temple.
Oh yeah, Guy Rogers, one of the all-time great guards. When you say Philly guard, it's like saying a Philly pretzel or a cheesesteak, and this guy was one of the original Philly guards. Great career at Temple, 3-time Big 5 MVP, really at the dawn of the Big 5 back in the mid-50s. So that's 3, Bob. I've got, who we got? John Pannone so far.
You got Villanova covered.
Yep.
Jameer Nelson.
Jameer Nelson and Guy Rogers. So that's 3 schools, right?
There are 5 schools, as far as I know, in the Big 5.
But we're playing musical chairs today, and there is one school that I did not have.
One school not represented.
Yep. Yes.
Which fan base is going to be, of the many fan bases that are anti-Fran Fraschilla, which fan base will join the group? We'll find out.
Key's going to be to get Pascal going, and you got to give him some real estate to operate with.
Gillespie creating room, and now it's Booth. He'll try a 3.
Good D.
Got it.
Can't do anything about that. Silpy shook his head. Said, I guarded him as well as I could. But again, first 4 minutes in, Penn stays in a really good offensive rhythm. That's nice. 2 leading
7
it.
to shoot.
Yep.
Woods back to Wong. He leans in at the elbow. A little short. Cosby Roundtree saves it. Look at Silpy on the deck, keeping it alive for Penn. It's a held ball, and it stays with the Quakers.
That's the difference between a senior and a freshman. That ball was batted to the foul line, and Cole Swider thought it was going to come to him. But Silpy, watch Silpy. That's a loose ball. That's a 50-50 ball, and Silpy just outworked Swider for that basketball.
I think Swider thought the ball was just going to roll right to him.
Absolutely.
And Silpy sells out, goes Superman, and dives to beat Swider to the basketball, and it stays with Penn.
Well, Silpy had a lot of starts as a freshman. He was best player in South Jersey as a senior. And he's been more of a role player, but he's been a terrific six-man or six starter this year.
Antonio Woods rolls it off the rim. Broder, offensive rebound, and he lays it in.
That's understanding the geography of the low paint. Because when Broder got that ball, he did not locate the rim until he started his shot upward.
Gillespie for three. Connects.
Colin Gillespie won a city title in this building. He's comfortable here. But again, Villanova wants to get back in this game. They're not doing anything to disrupt Penn's rhythm.
Silpe. Extra pass. Ball rotation to Wong. And sagging back in the passing line is Sadiq Bey to get the steal.
Sometimes you can be too unselfish, and that was Wong right there. Watch out.
Pascal throws it down. Unhappy with the lax defense, Steve Donahue, and he calls timeout as Pascal had a freeway to the rim. Just no resistance for Eric Pascal.
Well, we told you, you've got to get Pascal going in space. He's unguardable if you can. Good example right there.
Beware of the fog.
Hold up, let me get up in it now. I'm here to win it now. LOGIC, I'm feeling free, I'm finna bring it now. Get up.
Number 17 Villanova versus number 1 Kansas. Saturday at noon on ESPN.
Two teams that bear very little resemblance to the two that met last season in the Final Four. Having said that, though, Phil Booth, a good example, coming back off the injury, having a good season last year, much better this year. What has happened to LeGerald Vick? He has all of a sudden turned into one of the premier scorers in college basketball. That'll be a great matchup to watch on Saturday.
It will be. He's had a great start to the season. There's a set play again that they ran earlier.
And a freeway to the rim for Michael Wong.
But last couple games, not so good. You know, and Bill Self benched him for being late for a meeting. And, you know, LeGerald's got to be able to do it over the course of the season. Dedrick Lawson, on the other hand, has had a great season so far.
That'll be a fun game to watch.
Yes. Good double.
Primo back to the corner. And shooting three will be Phil Booth. That close to a 4-point play as Silpe got him on the arm.
Remember I mentioned earlier when Booth hit that shot over Silpe, it was great defense. Perfect example right there. Good defense by Silpe, a little too much contact.
Villanova is 0 for 4 in the second half at the free throw line. 0 for 5 at the free throw line.
And Phil Booth this year, among the things he's done really well, I know 76% sounds like a good number, but he should be a better shooter than this.
Well, you talk to Jay Wright about Phil Booth, and he just goes on and on. He's been here 5 years, 2 national championships. In 2017, they felt the year that he got hurt that he was the X factor that was missing, or they would have won 3 national championships in Phil Booth's time at Villanova.
Well, he's always been a big game guy, Bob. You know, the championship game, he had 20. Remember this Gonzaga game last year where they blew out Gonzaga at the Garden? He had a monster night that night. Of course, that was the night that Mikal Bridges jumped on the map with the NBA scouts. By the way, Jalen Brunson is having a great season for the Dallas Mavericks. Second round pick. I have to laugh at all those mock draft guys. By June 1st, everybody knew he was in the early second round, and he really should have been a late first round pick. There's not much difference. But it took all year for him to move up the ranks. And now all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, he's a very solid NBA backup for Rick Carlisle in Dallas. National Player of the Year. Hiding in plain sight a year ago.
That delay apparently because Silpe appeared to have some blood on the back of his jersey, so the officials just had to double check that. But he's allowed to stay in the game.
Oh, it's too easy.
And the lay-in, curling to the goal, and getting an easy one. A.J. Broder.
And that's because Swider didn't fight over the screen, so Pascal had to stay home, and Broder was able to slip to the rim. Just a freshman mistake on the defensive end.
Booth creates space, and he's been a different player in the second half after going 0 for 4 scoreless in the first half.
Well, they cannot win big games without Pascal and Booth. Jump shot.
Wong. Broder back outside. There's the jump shot from Woods.
Great ball movement that time. Could have been 3 seconds, but great ball movement anyway. Two bigs handling it inside.
13 now for Broder, 13 now for Woods.
Villanova's answered them on the offensive end, Bob, but they have not done anything to make Penn uncomfortable defensively.
Gillespie shut down in the corner, needs some help, 7 to shoot. Broder knocks it away. Gillespie gets his dribble back. He'll drive at Broder and draw the foul. Broder picks up his 4th foul. That's the bad news. The good news, they got an easy one a moment ago.
For Ivy League events, sign up now for ESPN+.
Let's go, make some noise.
And there are 75 more Ivy League basketball games on the E+ schedule this season. So if you're an Ivy League fan, plenty of opportunities to catch not only Ivy League basketball, but that leads us to some Big 5 basketball. And we continue with LaSalle's Kenny Durrett as your next all Big 5 player.
Absolutely. Numbers retired at LaSalle. They got great basketball tradition through the years. Kenny Durrett averaged 24 points a game as a senior, second-team All-American, and led the Big 5 in scoring all 3 of his seasons. By the way, speaking of the Ivy League, it's never been more competitive, Bob. You know, Yale has got a over 500 record. My guy Mike Morgan up at Brown has got a really good team. Desmond Cambridge is an outstanding sophomore. Of course, Harvard's had their 2 best players out for the entire preseason. Both Ivy League Player of the Year candidates, Towns and Aiken. But the league's got some outstanding players. Remember the name Mike Morgan from Cornell? Almost beat Syracuse a couple weeks ago. Little zone by Villanova, and you don't see this very often. Miami opened in zone, and Penn carved it up like a turkey at Thanksgiving.
Shot clock at 3. Silpe forces up a floater, gets the roll.
He is really their 6th starter. When he came to Penn, he was recruited by Jerome Allen, but he's played his entire career for Steve Donahue, and I mentioned he started a lot of games as a freshman.
Gillespie, reverse is good. He worked his way around Bryce Washington.
Scoring's not been the issue for Villanova in the second half. It's stopping them on this end.
Well, Penn's made 5 in a row as Gillespie is in double figures for the 4th time this season. Wong, high-low pass and the extra one to Silpe. There's their first miss in their last 6 attempts.
Fortunate because Villanova broke down again.
Gillespie the trailer. Foul call. That's going to go against the freshman Bryce Washington.
Freshman's got to know better. It's his 2nd Big 5 game. And his 1st game against Villanova, but too much contact at the end.
Both teams continue to struggle at the line.
You know, we were watching the teams warm up before the game, Bob, and these rims notoriously have been tight rims in here through the years, at least in recent years. No excuse, obviously, but the moment's been big for both teams.
Now, the two teams, they combined 20 of 34 free throw shooting. It's a lot of points for both sides to leave on the floor.
And Penn is a poor foul shooting team. Villanova is not.
2 of 3 for Gillespie. Penn's biggest lead in the first half was 12. They had a 10-point lead in the second half. Villanova has led for 2 minutes and 8 seconds total. It's just about been wire-to-wire Penn, but now it's a 3-point game.
Remember, no Broder with 4 fouls.
Backdoor cut. And the reverse from Bryce Washington.
What makes Penn so tough is both of their bigs, Rothschild and Broder, are arguably their 2 best passers. And that's why they have the ball so much at the top of the key. A great dime by Rothschild.
Booth goes one-on-one. Stripped away by Antonio Woods. Rothschild to Silpe. Yes.
Again, big fellow is dropping dimes now.
Haskell is held by Rothschild.
Watch the ball movement by Penn, Bob. We talked about the fact that they're comfortable playing fast and slow, and it's going to go through the high post. Back cut, basket.
9 team fouls for Penn. Villanova has 1 more foul to give. Now it's Pascal at the line.
Villanova's not winning this game unless they get some defensive stops. They've got to push up on the passers and make it difficult to make those entry passes.
Penn is at 51% shooting for the game. And just as effective, 43% from 3, because they're getting open ones with great ball movement. And they've made 7 of their last 8.
I love the idea that they just play in flow. Little zone now by Villanova. And you really can't zone this team.
Rothschild with 3 to shoot. There's the cut to Wong. Fouled by Saddiq Bey with 2 on the shot clock.
Saddiq Bey fell asleep on the weak side, and Wong saw it, and he made a beeline for the basket. Watch opposite of the ball. Wong, he sees the ball in the post. Bey gets caught watching the paint dry. And man, this Penn team, Bob, I know I said it to you before the game, but it's not just TV talk, you know. I watched them yesterday. I saw them annihilate LaSalle in Miami. And, you know, Villanova was favored by 8. Good thing I'm not a betting man. I love the way they,
for Wong.
yeah, but I love the way they play. Right now, they're the best team in the Ivy League. And they're a darn good team as it is.
Well, they won the league last year for the first time since 2007. Primo back in with 4 fouls. Tough pass for Booth. Broken up by Woods. And a foul called on Gillespie. They love it at the Palestra. An 8-point lead for the Quakers. And it doesn't get any easier, Phil, for Villanova, because Saturday at noon Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app, it is a Sonic blockbuster and a Final Four rematch number 17 Villanova taking on number 1 Kansas at the Fogs. How about those back-to-back venues for Villanova? You play a midweek game at the Palestra, and then you go to Allen Fieldhouse on Saturday afternoon.
And how about this? The game after that, UConn at the Garden. Talk about 3 venerable edifices.
That is a hat trick, to say the least, of great basketball cathedrals.
Well, right now, I genuflected when I came in here today, by the way. Because this place is one of my favorites, and this building is not much better, Bob.
A 9-point lead for Penn, under 8 minutes to go, and you think real danger time here for Villanova.
Next 3 minutes, if they don't cut into this lead, this game's over, because Penn will, they'll be excellent offensively. That's great defense.
Pascal travels.
Yep. What's happening with Pascal is they're collapsing the lane, and so he can't use his agility to get by one guy. He's got to do it to get by 3. Watch how they all collapse on him, and he just gets caught shuffling those feet. This was part of their game plan. They wanted to crowd the middle of the lane today and take away that drive.
He stepped on Rothschild's foot.
Yeah.
Just lost his balance, lost his footing.
Remember, Broder with 4, but they don't need him right now. Michael Wong, the freshman, has been outstanding. Look at this.
Blocking foul on Gillespie.
It's a good call. If the man cutting doesn't have the ball, you have to give him a step.
And that's Gillespie's 4th.
Yep, but that is another breakdown on a little slip screen. That should be an easy switch where they come together and they talk, they touch, and they take. And their switching in their scouting report defense tonight has been very poor.
Penn has lost 15 in a row to Villanova, and Villanova has an all-time record 25-game win streak in Big 5 competition alive. Will it only live for 7.5 more minutes? Guessing the front end of the 1-and-1 is Rothschild. Gillespie goes right at him. Booth straightaway 3. In and out. Thought he was fouled. Jay Wright certainly thought he was fouled, and Rothschild slow to get up.
Well, Rothschild, watch him at the top. Watch him turn and watch all four teammates. That time he's out of control.
Offensive foul. And he has to be separated from Cremo. Phil Booth and Jay Wright both wanted a foul, shooting this 3 a moment ago.
But watch his leg. Watch Booth. He's no neophyte. See that leg go out right there? That's a good no call. That's a senior trying to get away, but you can't get away with it with this crew. It's a very solid crew. They've been good tonight.
Rothschild called for his 4th. Now there was a little something extra at the end of the play as he landed on Cremo, and those two, nothing more than a stare down, but at the worst, the officials want to go to the monitor and make sure that there's no flagrant foul to be called.
That should be a play on. Now Cremo pushes him off, but this ought to just be a play on right there. Just get off me so I can get up. Not every one of these type plays needs to be a flagrant foul. That's just 2 guys going hard.
We're going to get the quick wave off. Yeah, that is nothing more.
Well, Clarence.
Then we just move it up.
Oh, yeah. One of the best, Clarence Armstrong. He does a lot of TBT in the summer. He's very entertaining when we put the mic on him, but he's an outstanding official in the wintertime. Jeffrey Anderson, Earl Walton, Clarence Armstrong. We got a good crew tonight.
7 minutes to go.
They're taking away Cremo. Excellent scouting report D tonight. Look at the help.
In the post. And he is fouled by Rothschild. That'll be his 5th. So Rothschild, the first player to foul out. And that top of the key playmaker that Rothschild has been now out of the game for Penn.
And now the decision for Steve Donahue is, do you go back with Broder, or he's not. He's going to go small with Goodman because, Broder has 4. So they're going to keep AJ on the bench and go small here. There wasn't a lot of contact, and I thought Penn did a great job. Look at the cat and mouse by Michael Wong there. Now, if you're Villanova, you got to make your free throws, and I think you have to keep going to Pascal inside, because with no Rothschild, they've got a mismatch in there.
Preseason first team all Big East player, and Eric Pascal is now in double figures for the 9th time this season.
No playmaker now, at least through the high post. So the guards are going to have to be extra efficient. Woods and Goodman. They're playing the matchup zone right now.
From the corner. That 3 comes up just a little bit short for Goodman, but a foul call. That's going to go against Villanova. And that's Joe Cremo. That's his 5th. So Cremo's gone.
Well, here's why it's a bad play. This play was going to be decided above the rim, and he had Pascal there. So there was no reason to give extra effort in terms of driving the guy out. There was nobody on the floor down there that was going to get the rebound except Eric Pascal, and Cremo didn't realize that. Take a look now. Watch how high this shot goes. That's Pascal's ball, and you see Cremo. There's no reason to do that.
What element of that, though, was a foul? Because at the Y, that kind of looks like a guy just going to find his man and box him out.
I would say excessively there on that particular play.
Well, if you could read the lips of Jay Wright when the officials came over after Cremo fouled out, Jay Wright's lips were, "What did he do? Tell me what he did." And I guess that would be the explanation, just excessive contact.
When Woods went up and his hips landed in front of where he jumped from, usually there's contact.
It is the Big 5.
Yeah.
It is the Palestra.
I know it.
Less contact than that.
Yeah, and it is Penn's home court.
That's a good point.
Oh, that's good hustle again.
Gillespie comes in and cleans it up, though. Eddie Scott in the game for Penn for the first time tonight, as Donahue is trying to steal some minutes with a seldom used player. Gillespie up under, blocked by Silpe, but a foul called on Silpe.
I thought early in the year Colin Gillespie got so deep, and he was not looking to take that shot, and he was passing up opportunities to score at the rim and kick it out, and that was last year's Villanova team, where he could kick to shooters. He's got to do a little more of that attacking the basket like he just did.
That was Silpe's 3rd, and now Steve Donahue is going to push the button and put A.J. Broder in with his 4 fouls. Villanova now has 9 team fouls, and Penn over the 10 foul limit. So both teams, the last 6 minutes, every foul will be 2 free throws.
And I'm going at Broder when I get the ball if I'm Villanova. Make him play defense or play conscientious objector on that end. Matchup zone by Villanova. It looks like a 2-3, and you'll see how they trade men off by pointing. I don't think this is a great defense for Villanova.
Although they get the steal nearly, but Sadiq Bey is called for the reach in. Well, this Saturday bowl season begins on ABC at noon Eastern. MEAC champs North Carolina A&T will take on the champs of the SWAC, Alcorn State, in the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl, followed at 3:30 by number 21 Fresno State How about Herm Edwards and his Arizona State team? A great year in the Pac-12. That's the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl. So a bowl doubleheader. Both games live on the ESPN app as well. Bowl season arrives this Saturday afternoon on ABC.
Well, you know Arizona State. Hello. You play to win the game.
The Las Vegas Bowl.
That's right. This kid's going to be a tremendous Ivy League player. They've kept him in check tonight, but he's a scoring machine.
Steve Donahue playing the possession game. He puts Broder back on the bench.
Yes. Offense, defense.
Sadiq Bey, tough shot, and he knocks it down.
You just remember that name because it's about his, maybe not now, but as a junior and senior, he'll be one of the best players in the Big East. He's got Villanova basketball written all over him. Oh, he got it.
Gillespie gets the steal. He'll try a long two. It's good. They call it a three, but it looked like his toe was on the line. And now the officials signal, we're going to look at that one at the monitor to make sure, and now they'll get their chance. Steve Donahue wants a pen timeout.
I think that foot was on the line, Bob.
It definitely was.
Yep, so they'll go check it.
Let's take another look at the Gillespie attempt.
Whoa.
Although it looked like that toe came forward and was on the line, but our replay freeze has him behind the line.
That's good. That's three.
From our angle, looked like he was on the line, and one of the officials on the near side said, let's look at it.
I have reading glasses, so we don't listen to me.
So Villanova has come back to make this a one-possession game with 5:07 to go.
Villanova's got 3 timeouts. Penn 1. Possession arrow is Villanova's.
Gillespie back to the bench. Samuels in with 4 fouls. Phil Booth in to run the point.
And I think Villanova's gone back man. They won't double him. Look at
Broder
that. Look at that.
Yep. And the lay-in for Antonio Woods.
That's been that breakdown all night. Anytime there's been any screening action away from the ball. And that's why you can't let Broder get the ball deep. He is a great passer.
Samuels throws it down. Boy, they were missing that when he was in foul trouble.
Got to keep the ball out of Broder's hands if you're Villanova. He's the catalyst. Watch Wang.
The extra pass to Goodman. Got it, triple.
Breakdowns all over the place for this Villanova defense.
Can Booth answer? The follow by Bey. He'll try again. It's still alive. Samuels has it. Back outside to Booth for 3. What effort on the offensive glass by the Wildcats. And a timeout called by Jay Wright, I believe. The Big 5 at the Palestra. Doesn't get any better than this. Papa Shoes and Fran Brashilla, great players tonight on the floor here at the Palestra, and you've been taking us through all night. Your all-time Big 5, top 5.
Lionel Simmons, 3rd all-time in scoring. That means I left off some great Penn players like Ronnie Hagler and Bobby Morse, Jerome Allen, but I went with 5, and there were probably another 20 that deserved to be on my team, but this Penn team tonight has played like they want to end that Big 5 streak of Villanova.
3.5 minutes to go.
Oh, there's a good cut. All
Broder
night.
hangs and hits.
All night long, Penn has carved up Villanova's half-court defense. Broder came to the top, and he back-cut. Great find. When you're playing a team that's clawing back, they're going to overplay, and you take advantage of that pressure. See, they're not leaving the shooters.
Saddiq Bey, too strong.
Yep.
Long the rebound.
That's what they wanted. They're not going to leave the shooters. They're going to make you make twos.
Shot clock under 10. Antonio Woods looking for the cut to Broder again. Knocked out of bounds with 5 to shoot for Penn. Gillespie back in for Cosby Roundtree.
Watch it coming out of the timeout. Just watch Broder. The ball's going to be swung from one side to the other.
The floater won't go for Woods. Coming up on 2 minutes to go. Gillespie in traffic. Samuels can't hit the 3. Gillespie's got the rebound to Booth.
They got a new clock, but I think Pascal's got to touch it. He's got to guard Woods on him. This is the possession of the game.
Booth for 3. The tip by Bey. Saddiq Bey double team. He recovers in the corner.
They've got time.
And a foul call. Antonio Woods called for a second. And both teams again over the 10 foul limit. 2 free throws for Saddiq Bey.
Saddiq Bey at the line shooting 2.
Villanova's got a great recruiting class coming in. And you combine them with these freshmen that are getting a chance like Bey, they'll be back at the top of the polls, but right now they have to fight and claw for every possession. Not just this game, but in many of the games they'll play. They'll try to get it to Broder. Watch the weak side.
Broder, the hook, no good. Samuels the rebound. Villanova down by 3. Coming up on 1 minute to go.
Don't need a 3 if you're Villanova, if you can get something to the rim.
For the tie, Gillespie off the side of the rim. Plenty of time for Villanova to play defense. Penn has a timeout left.
How do you keep it from Broder's hands? You can't.
He's fouled, and that'll do it for Samuels. Didn't seem like a wise foul that far from the basket on Broder for Jermaine Samuels.
Except
it'll be 2 for Broder.
He's a poor foul shooter. So you got to hope right here that he's got 1 miss in him if you're Villanova. And you have to play this. If you're Jay Wright right now, you're saying, look, whether he makes the first, he's going to have the second. You've got to block out.
And Villanova keep the longest Big 5 win streak ever alive. Will it be broken by Penn? If it is, that would break a 15-game losing streak for the Quakers to Villanova. And it would be the first time since all the way back in 2001 that Penn will have beaten Villanova here at the Palestra. 6 of 10 at the line for Broder.
There's the miss.
And that's the first free throw he has shot in the second half.
Yep. Now, if you are Villanova, you must keep Wang off the glass. Remember, if they can't grab it, they'll try to tip it out to midcourt.
He's got one of two, and it's a two-possession game.
Still don't need a three.
Pascal. DeBay in the corner. Line drive three won't go. Tipped. Silpy's got it. Foul is called. That's on Pascal.
The game plan today for Penn was chase Villanova off the three-point line or make them make tough threes. That was a tough three right there.
The Penn fans can taste it. It's 31 seconds away.
All right, here's the game plan. You and I are going under this table, Bob.
We'll be ducking.
Stay ready. This kid's been solid, Silpy.
Are you suggesting the people behind us might go over this table?
They go high, we go low.
Here comes Gillespie. Through a double team. Draws a foul.
And fouls on number 3, Jake Silby. It's his fourth.
Jake Silby is called for his fourth.
Colin Gillespie up the line, 2 shots.
Let's think ahead now. Villanova's got to think about fouling Broder or Woods, who came in shooting 44%. Any jump ball is Villanova's ball.
Season high 20 for Gillespie. Make it 21. Cosby Roundtree replaces Gillespie, and Broder sent to the bench to avoid that scenario.
Yes, and Washington was 8 of 9 coming in, the freshman.
Wong's got it in the corner, fouled immediately by Swider. So the freshman Michael Wong, who's been in double figures 4 of the last 5 games for Penn coming into tonight. And he already has 11. He will go to the free throw line.
Michael Wong at the line, 2 shots.
Broder back, shooter goes out. You're watching with bated breath up at Northfield Mount Herman, up in Northwest Mass, where Broder played, among the 31 Ivy League players out of that prep school.
The final timeout called by Steve Donahue. His team's got a 6-point lead with 23 seconds to go. Now, I would think Villanova has to run plays to try and get
That's
threes.
right. Exactly right. Now, you have to throw caution to the wind. You no longer probably want to get the quick 2 because you need 3 possessions if you get 2s. But the three-point comes into play now out of the timeout.
Before we play these last 23 seconds, a quick check-in back in the studio with Phil Murphy. All right, Phil, thanks very much. So from the Palestra to the pit, as soon as we're done here in Philly, if you're Jay Wright, how many different guys are eligible to be launching that three? You try to draw it up for one specific shooter, or do you want multiple options?
Well, you got Gillespie, Pascal, and Booth that can all shoot it. Remember the play they ran in the championship game against North Carolina in 16? Archie Diacono pushed the ball up and flipped it behind. That's in their arsenal. That's one of the things they can do. but it's got to be quick, and it's going to have to be contested, because what you have to hope now is you get lucky and make a couple tough threes and also force a turnover. Swider in as well.
Gillespie needs to push.
There's the throwback.
Booth from NBA range. Got it!
He got fouled
called by Jay Wright. They were looking for a 4-point play. Didn't get the whistle, but Booth hits the triple. And with 16 seconds to go, we've got a 3-point game.
Now that's a version of what they ran in the championship game, the little pitch back. Let's see if Booth gets fouled. And he kicks the leg out again, Bob. It's a no call. Give him credit for trying to steal it, but you cannot do this. And also give him credit for making a tough shot right here. See the leg? Can't call that. It's good officiating. Now, if you're Villanova, you're going to press and foul right away. You still have time to get a couple more possessions if you foul quickly. See, Earl Walton is explaining to Booth, I'm not going to give you that.
One timeout left for Villanova.
Look at this.
And they've got the possession arrow.
I guarantee you nobody's seen this inbounds play.
Looks like a line of scrimmage in football.
Remember, you can step in from out of bounds.
Wong's got it. The foul given immediately by Swider.
I thought they were going to throw it out of bounds on the other side, but that was pretty good. I thought they were kicking the extra point.
I thought they were running the pitch back Cal Stanford play. The Dolphins did it pretty well. So now more pressure free throws for the freshman Michael Watt. This is the first. If he misses the second, has Steve Donahue already schooled his team at some point to foul and not let Villanova get a 3 off?
I wouldn't foul until 6 or under. Okay,
Takes the second.
Yep, so you can go 2 or 3 if you're Villanova here, but you got to go quick and you got to score by 8.
Booth thought about another. He'll try one here. Hit the backboard first. The rebound ends up with Devin Goodman, and he's fouled. 6.2 seconds to go. Gillespie is fouled out.
Well, Penn deserved to win this game, Bob. They were outstanding in terms of their offensive execution. And Jay Wright will watch this videotape with his team, and he'll see a lot of defensive breakdowns. This is a very hard team to guard. What a night in the Palestra, Bob. Like the old days.
Villanova's 25-game win streak in Big 5 play only has 1.1 second left to it as Booth knocks down a 3. So there is a 3-point advantage right now for Penn. Still just over a second to go.
So now if you're Steve Donahue, you got a couple choices here. You can throw the ball long and make sure that someone touches it without fouling. Okay, they're going to go check the clock to make sure that's the exact time. What I would do if I were Villanova right here is I would face guard everybody and I would force them to throw the ball long with the hope that they throw it too long and out of bounds without anybody touching it. Now, there's not much you can do if you're Villanova, but that's one of the things you can do, and you do need a miracle. Steve Donahue knows this.
They're adding 2 more tenths of a second to the clock, so it is now 1.3 seconds remaining. But still, with just over a second to go, if the ball is touched anywhere on the court of play, the game's going to be over.
Bob, you could throw it to Villanova and they could make a 2-point layup, okay? And the game is over. So you're absolutely right. But I would throw this ball deep towards midcourt. But you got to make sure you don't foul anybody. They will get this ball inbounds.
Seconds remaining, 1.3.
It's thrown in the backcourt.
Let it go. Oh, smart
and
play.
Roundtree.
Smart play.
A brilliant play. Doesn't touch it.
Smart.
And now Villanova will have a catch and shoot opportunity.
What a play by Demir Cosby Roundtree. He was going to touch the ball, and he realized if he lets it go, Villanova gets it on the baseline. Brilliant, brilliant play. Woods panics, wants to throw down the court. Watch Cosby Roundtree. He's thinking about it. Wow.
Now Villanova needs a 3. Swider will check back in. He'll replace Cosby Roundtree.
Well, I think he should get Quinterly. He's going to leave Quinterly in.
Because Gillespie fouled out. Will Penn foul and not give Villanova a chance to shoot a 3?
I wouldn't foul here because they have to shoot it, so they're going to be in the act.
Booth from the corner. Short. It's over. For the first time since December of 2002, Penn takes down Villanova. One last opportunity at the buzzer for Phil Booth. And the Rainbow 3 comes up short. That was fun. College basketball action continues. Colorado and New Mexico now at the pit.